Good afternoon, Lee Cassidy from Tactile Technology, and today we're going to talk about physical security. So, most of the week I've been talking about cybersecurity in different ways for small business, larger enterprise, and things. But let's talk about physical security because it is an integral part of securing your business. Because if you've got people breaking in or coming into your business using mechanisms they can operate to get into the business rather than breaking their way in, they're going to be just as much of a threat, for equipment to be stolen, computer systems and things, which again then could be used for a cyber attack later. But also you've got the issues of what we call an insider threat, where we've got someone who's inside the business has decided that they want to extort us in some way, maybe a disgruntled employee. But what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about Verkada first. So I was introduced by Verkada to Verkada about 4 or 5 years ago, and originally we'd worked with some of one of the founders of Meraki, one of the wireless manufacturers, some time ago. Had come out as a project from MIT and created this wonderful wireless platform that uses a cloud controller rather than multiple controllers, lots of access points and things to bring it together. And it was really complicated Wi-Fi before the advent of these type of solutions. So one of the original founders, when they'd sold their business to Cisco, that must have been about 8, 9, maybe 10 years ago now, decided they wanted to go and do something else. So they went off and created this business called Verkada. And the idea was to use the same premise that they had at Meraki, is make it simple, try and reduce the amount of equipment that you require, and make it really simple to operate. And that's what they've done with Verkada. I'm going to focus today just on cameras really, and show you a couple of little cameras I've got for demo. One's on the front of my house, one's actually on my desk in front of me. So just to give you a bit of a picture of the kind of things you can do with it. And then what we'll do each week is go into more depth in a different area. So maybe next week what we'll do is, with the permission of a customer, actually show you a multi-sited solution with lots of cameras. We may then go on show you some access control, show you some guest management as well, because that's another part of it. So we're going to go through each piece. But starting out, just give you a picture of the difference between a traditional CCTV platform and what we're offering with the Verkada platform. So traditionally, what you'd have is cameras that would be positioned around the building, internally, externally, and those would then bring cables back to a single point. Some of them would use coaxial cables, the old style cables, so like an aerial cable, and that would come back to what we call a digital video recorder, a DVR. And then all the recordings from those cameras would actually stay there, and then you'd have to try and create ways for people to access that DVR. Problems would be, especially going through firewalls and things to get there, people would tend to share accounts and things rather than having their own accounts. So some of the issues you'd have with that. The other way you can do traditional systems is over a network. So each of the cameras uses an Ethernet cable like computers connect, but instead of having a digital recorder, it'll be a network video recorder. So it's the same thing. It's going to digitally record it on the system and have software there for you to utilize to replay that video, but it's a network device rather than a device that's connected directly back to all of the cameras. So with the Verkada system, we don't have any of that. So all of the cameras have got their own storage built into them. So they store all the information up to 30 days with a traditional standard camera, and you can get up to a year's worth of storage on some of the larger cameras. So all depends on what you want to see, but 30 days is usually enough for most people. Then what you can do is archive anything you want to keep after that, but you can also back up any of that feed directly to Amazon Web Service if you choose to. So if you want to deploy, all you need is a camera, internet connection and some power, and we deliver the power over Ethernet, so it's delivered over the network from a data switch. So really simple to deploy. And like I say, you can deploy one camera or 1,000 cameras, it doesn't matter. The benefit of having this cloud control and central management is you can have it across multiple sites and multiple geographies as well. So if you've got businesses across the country, or even just in 2 different physical buildings, different sides of the same city, really simple to do, and all the way up to multiple countries and multiple sites within those countries. Really straightforward to do. But the key thing is how you access it and how you use it. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. I'll show you a bit later mobile devices. I'll show you on a phone and on an iPad, but I'll also show you the platform itself and go through some of the basics of what you can do with the actual system itself. So I'm going to bring that up onto the screen. Like I said, this is just a local demonstration platform we've got with a couple of cameras, because we know we've got permission from the neighbours to be able to show video of them, so we don't have any issues with privacy or anything else with this. And it's not on a customer site and having to get permission from the customer to view it. So when we've gone here, we're seeing some cameras, but if I go to these three dots at the top, well, there's nine dots at the top, I should say. If I click that, it shows all the other parts of the platform. So the platform is not just CCTV, so it's not just the camera section. We've got access control, so we can manage any type of door into a building and out of a building. We can also measure air quality using sensors that go up as far as doing formaldehyde and carbon monoxide. We can also provide an alarm system that integrates with the cameras and the door access control. We can provide intercoms, so doors are far away or gates, and bringing those calls back with some really flexible ways of dealing with that. And we've also got a guest management system where we can actually bring people into the building, like pre-book them, or them can turn up and fill in the details, read any documentation that's required, and then get access to the building. And then finally, mailroom, which is a mechanism to be able to capture all your parcels that come into the building and make sure the people who these parcels are for get notified, and we can actually see some evidence of the delivery and also them collecting their parcels as they pick them up from reception or a mail room if you've got one in the building. So all of these components are easy access from the same interface, so really simple to get to. But we're going to focus on cameras at the moment. So I'm going to go into this camera here. So this is a camera that's on the front of my house looking out over a small area. And below you can see already it's starting to bring up some squares. And what it is, I've set this at the moment to actually look based on 24-hour periods. So each one of these is a 24-hour period. But you can see on the screen there are green markers around, and these is where it's actually seen a person, because the actual system utilizes artificial intelligence to identify people, faces, and also vehicles. So it's already picking some information up. The other thing I can do is draw in a particular area. So if I draw in this particular area, I can actually see any motion activity in that area on the screen. So if I now look below, everything that's here is saying there was actually motion in that area. So if I go to any one of these, so this looks like it was the postman arriving earlier, I click on that and it'll actually show me that motion in that area, because he's actually walked across that space and he'll walk back across, I think, in a second. No, so he must have walked across that area to start with to get to the door, and he's on his travels down. But that was really quick to actually get to that coverage. And what I can do is I can archive a piece of footage from that. So I could pick up, I want to archive a minute's worth, or I can extend it either side and put some tags to it and things, and even notes to it, to be able to keep that footage later. Also, if we've got people's faces and we don't want faces shown, we can actually blur the faces. So we can see there's a blur the face section. It'll actually blur the faces for them. And then I just click create archive and it will actually take that archive down. So really simple to quite quickly find some footage and see it based on motion. The other thing we can do is look at things like people and vehicles. So I've got people and vehicles here, which is specific to this one camera, but I've also got people and vehicles here, which is all cameras for this particular site. But we're going to focus on this piece here. So we can see it's starting to search through and find different people, and there's myself. It's not today, it's the other day, yesterday, the 24th, and it can see me popped over to have a chat with next door neighbor, so it's picked me up there. So really simple to find people's faces and people on there. We can also do it based on what people are wearing. So I can put here somebody who's wearing red on the upper part of the body, and hopefully we'll find people have got red. Where I know it's my wife doing a bit of gardening, and a number of other people. If we change that to orange, if I go back, upper body, and we'll go for orange. Hopefully we'll find like the postman and delivery people. There we go. So we've got some there. So quite quickly we can find footage based on colors of upper body, lower body, and we can even look at gender and people wearing backpacks. So a lot of things we can quite quickly find using this system. I can also jump straight to that footage so we can see, where that footage was picked up from. So he's quite a long way away and it's picking it up quite easily. I think his trolley's going to roll away by the look of things as well. So it's rolling out onto the road. But once we've got to that point, we can also look at the faces of people as well. So we found people, and then what we've gone is extended that to faces, and we can go to any one of these and we can say, create a profile against that person. We can download some footage of it, or if I click on it, it'll actually go off and find us every time it's seen that particular person, and it's bringing up a number of bits of footage over the last 30 days where it's seen me out there. So, out there, putting some bunting up and then taking it down for the coronation and walking in and out of the house. So quite quickly we can find some content and get to that. With vehicles, we can do the same. So I click on vehicles, it'll bring up all vehicles. If I click in the search box, I can say, a particular date, a particular type of vehicle. And with the type, we can actually look for things like a truck. So we'll see if we've had any large vehicles around. So we've got the bin wagons being around and some large vans and things in the past. So again, quickly we can go to that footage with ease, find what we want to look for, and we can archive that. Once we've archived it, we can actually send it to someone. So that's what I'll show you next. So we've gone through the process of finding some footage, and we want to then archive it. When I click on archive, it's going to bring all the archives we've had in the past up. So a number of them here. So let's have a look. So we've got delivery here. So we're going to pick on this one. And this is what the person would see if they went in and selected this from the link. And I'll just show you quickly what the footage looks like. So we've got about a minute's worth of footage there that covers a delivery driver doing a delivery. So nice and simple, comes out of his Amazon van and walks over to the house. So we've got that captured, and that was back on the 15th of February last year. So quite a while ago. I can also add tags, and I can also add notes. So I can type in different pieces here, that's according to, that particular piece of footage when I share it. So suspicious activity, or, Amazon van looks like it's run over a cat, whatever I want to do to actually notify the people I'm sharing this with, what's happened. But when I decide to share it, I click on the share, and what it's going to do is come up with either enter a phone number, an email address, or a contact. So if I've created contacts I'm sending stuff to regularly, I can just type the name of the contact and send it to them. If it's someone I've not sent it before, I can type in their email, or I can type in their mobile number. I can send it as a text message or an email. Also, what it says here is what they've got access to. So access to archive video only, or we can have archive and be able to download it. Keeping that first one, it means that you've got full control of that video clip. They can't download it. They can't do anything with it other than view it. You can also specify how long. It could be 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or multiples of those. And then when you send the link, they get to see it directly through the system as we've just seen it. So it'll look identical to this with the notes and tags and everything else that we've put on there to be able to see it. So really simple to give people, a view of a particular activity, in this case, a delivery driver, and they can see it in the same way. So you're not having to download video files, you're not having to edit video files, you're not having to put them onto DVDs or thumb drives to send them to people. And then once it's been sent, you've got no control over it. With this, you've got full control of all of the footage at all times. And then later on, if you decide you don't need this footage anymore, you can actually delete the archive and it's gone. And again, based on what we've done, with the settings, it's all role based. Each user has their own settings. You can specify what people can do. So you can have people that can create archives and view archives, but they can't delete them. So we can control it very finely on what people achieve on the platform. So other things we can do. So one is statistics. So we can actually look for motion statistics, so different times of day, what we've seen, vehicles, people. We can also see how online the unit's been. So it's been online all the way through, uptime for it. And also we can see the amount of traffic that it's using. So the actual system itself uses very little bandwidth. And a lot of people are concerned about systems that are cloud based because they might utilize quite a lot of network traffic, but this doesn't. Most of the time it's using very, very little traffic in and out. So it's sending up what we call stills. So it's actually picking out still images from that footage and sending them up to the cloud controller. So you've got something to search through and some metadata. So the information that we can use to search for people and vehicles and colors and things. And then when we actually start to watch the video, it'll actually link directly to the camera and show it. So the other thing people say is, what about if someone, tampered with the camera? If they took it down, I've lost all the footage with it. So the camera itself automatically detects tamper. And if it's tampered with, it actually records and uploads in just 2 minutes of footage. So you've quickly got some information to identify the person who's actually tampering with the device, as well as the notification of it. The other thing we can do is for privacy, we can block out areas. So if we wanted to block out this area here where the garage is, we can actually go into the settings for this camera and we can pick out what we call a privacy area. So if we can see there, we've got privacy, it takes us down to, and on the privacy there, we can actually mark a privacy region. So what we can do is go in here and block off a space to say we don't want any footage from that area. And when I've clicked done and we actually go back to the camera itself, we will see that it's actually not recording that space going forward. It takes a minute or two for it to do it, but all the recordings from now on will not have that particular piece in place because it'll be blacked out from there. So, quite simple to go in and block out a particular area if you don't want it shown on camera. So I'll go back and remove that area. So do that. And this is quite different to a lot of systems. Most systems, what they do is they put a black image over the top of the footage. With this, we just don't record the footage for that particular area within the camera's screen from the camera's sensor. So it doesn't pick it up at all. Also, with the analytics, if you don't want to do this people and vehicle, we can turn it off by camera. So we can have specific cameras are capturing information that we can utilize in that way, and others we can turn off. The other thing we can do is set events. So what we can do is specify particular regions for events, and we can also specify what we're going to look for. So we're going to say maybe, we're looking for people, but we're not looking for vehicles in a particular space. And we can specify when we're looking for that and when we want to be alerted. So it might be, when everybody's left the office, we want to look for motion within the building, from that time onwards till the morning when people are coming back in. We can do the same maybe for a driveway that's got a gates closed and we don't expect anybody to move in and out of that, either people or vehicles, until the next day. So we can put all this in place so that it'll only capture and tell you if there's motion of people or vehicles in that space during those periods of time. The other thing it doesn't do is pick up, foxes, rabbits, all the other things that might be moving around that's going to cause you those false alerts. It's only going to be if it sees people or if it sees vehicles, and it's using that artificial intelligence to understand it's actually a real person, it's actually a real vehicle, not shadows, not spiders dropping down on webs in front of cameras, which I find I get with some of the other types of cameras we use for consumer grade pieces like ring cameras. The other thing we can do is set crowd events. So one of the things with this, it might be we want to watch a particular area to see if we have, more than so many people or so many cars. So if we've got a driveway in and we want to see if we're actually getting backed up because there's a problem with the car park, we can set a number of vehicles to see in there. So it might be 5 vehicles, and that would mean that the whole of that roadway is blocked, and it'll actually alert us at that point so we can actually go and deal with that situation. The same with people. If we've got too many people in a particular area, maybe in reception, again, there could be an issue, and we can get to alert us based on that. It also was used in the past to actually give us an idea if there was minimum space between people for COVID as well, because you could specify the floor space was X number of meters. So the maximum number of people we can have in that space is, say, 6, put down 6, and then it will alert if it sees more than 6 people in that space. So some quite interesting things we can do, very flexible in capturing information and delivering that information back. The other thing that the system allows is integration through API. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with API. The terminology is application programmers interface. So it means we can actually connect other software platforms to this to take information. That could be some of the alert data, some of the metadata. It could also be something like the actual video feed, and bring that across to another system and integrate it with that, because we might want to bring 2 of our systems together, maybe an HR system and our CCTV platform, or a third party platform that requires understanding what's happening in the area. So we can bring all of those pieces together as well. The other thing that we can do with this system, which I'm not sure if we've got a sensor live at the moment, we've moved a number of our sensors off. We just need to reconnect them. But we would normally see air quality here. And then we've got 2 of these details here, but there's no data at the moment because they're not online at the moment. But we could see then lots of different event data around air quality. So looking at things like temperature, humidity, noise level, the air quality index, what we call TVOC, which is the total volume of organic compounds in the air, so fumes from vehicles or fuels, and also the amount of particulate matter in the air as well. So this is particulate matter that's smaller than 2.5 microns. So this is the kind of dust that's going to damage your lungs. Also tamper and motion detection. One of the things that we can actually identify with these systems is vaping. So if someone's actually smoking or vaping using the electronic vape, we can pick that detail up, and we can also utilize that to understand what's happening. And in fact, I think that's just been turned on, so we can actually see it there. The actual data is starting to recover again, so we're picking things up from that. The other thing we can do with it is set particular triggers. So we can set triggers for anything like temperature, humidity, or noise level, and actually notify someone if there is noise above a certain amount of level quite quickly. We can also go off and build out data from these devices as well. We can actually specify screens where it captures that information and displays it onto a screen or onto multiple PCs to be able to capture information about the humidity, temperature, or anything else that we're interested in that particular area. We're working with some battery manufacturers at the moment, and they're quite keen on identifying temperature, humidity, and also things like noise level and formaldehyde, because some of the batteries, when they go faulty in storage, they will actually release formaldehyde, and then they'll be able to identify if there's a problem with that. But coming back to why we would use these, a lot of people think of only one use, which is from a security perspective, but also you might want to actually understand what's happening from a health and safety perspective. If you're looking at an area where you've got lots of movement with forklift trucks and equipment, you might want to understand what's happening there. You might have lone workers, and you might want to be able to track lone workers through your plant at night to make sure that they're safe and that they're turning up in particular places. You might want to ensure that everybody's out of a building when there's a fire or other emergency. And again, these cameras will show us motion in areas so we can actually identify if there are people still inside the building. So hopefully that gave you a quick overview of a simple way to actually give you CCTV that's got some really great features and functionality. But one other thing with it is the actual cost. The cameras are they're not cheap, I should say, but you get what you pay for. There is no Chinese parts or no Chinese involvement in the manufacture, so you're not going to be spied on. And also all the units are warranted for 10 years, so you know what 10 years is going to cost you. So it's really simple, whereas a lot of the other manufacturers only give 1 or 2 years warranty, so you might actually replace those cameras quite a few times throughout its lifetime. But with this, you know exactly what 10 years is going to cost you. But also you've got that integration between CCTV, access control, alarm system, and air quality and management and guest management. So really simple way to bring everything together and utilize the same components to give you multiple services. So thank you very much for joining me today. Hope that was of interest to you. Next week, like I say, we're going to either show you some multiple cameras or we'll go into the guest management, one or the other, to give you a picture of that, depending on what we've got available for you next week. But if you've got any questions about what I've shown you today, you can jump on this link and organize a meeting, and we can go through things online. Or you can actually grab my contact details from this link and drop me a call, drop me an email, and we can pick things up from there. But thank you very much for joining me today. Next week, Monday, we're kicking back off with our SME Sec. So we're going to focus on cybersecurity for small businesses. So it's cybersecurity in plain English. No acronyms, no gobbledygook, to try and help people understand a bit more about cyber. Working through to, again, on Thursday next week, we'll come back to Verkada and look more at the physical security side. Thank you very much. Have a great day.